So Tom Aspinall is finally the official UFC Heavyweight Champion. Like, for real this time. And I gotta say, I'm happy for the guy. We waited over a year and a half thinking we were going to see him fight Jon Jones, or at least that's what we were being told. You had Dana saying that this is the fight to make over and over, and everyone just kept on believing it. Even when deep down we all started realizing, yeah, this probably isn't happening. And for me, I was covering it like everyone else, but after a while, I was kind of over it. Like, I was kind of like, man, screw this. I'm done hyping this up. It felt like I was getting gaslighted at this point. Every few months, it was like, oh, we're working on it. But nothing ever came out of it. And that kind of sucked because this sport, for as amazing as it is, we don't always get the super fights that we're teased with, you know? Like, think about it. We missed out on Islam versus Topuria, a fight that I really didn't care about at first, but as time went on, it started growing on me. Then there was the dream of Alex Pereira, maybe going up to fight Jon Jones or even Tom. All these legacy type matchups that could have been huge, but yeah, here we are. So no Jones versus Aspinall, and that stings a little. Not just because we missed a legacy fight, but because it took the UFC this long to make something official. They let the division sit on pause like forever. Like, bro, you've got this young, exciting talent in Tom, and we're just keeping him locked in purgatory while the GOAT sits on the sidelines healing and teasing retirement. And that's pretty much what he ended up doing. He retired at the end. But now it's real. Tom is the guy, and the heavyweight division, man, it's really thin, like really thin. Like, people call it the blob division for a reason. It's not exactly stacked with contenders. There's maybe like 5 to 7 real elite heavyweights in the entire roster. It's not like welterweight or lightweight where killers are around every corner. This weight class is kind of a wasteland, if I can be real with you. So with that in mind, let's talk about matchmaking, because when someone like Tom finally gets crowned, the next question is obviously who's left for him to fight, who's actually gonna test him. You know, he's already smoked a couple of the top names like Sergei, Volkov, Blades, and didn't even break a sweat doing it. So now it's not just about defending the belt, it's about finding someone who can actually give us some answers. Because we still don't know what Tom looks like in deep waters. We haven't seen him tested, we haven't seen him uncomfortable, and that's the kind of theme of today's video. We're gonna break down the landscape, go through some rematches, maybe throw in a couple of the wild card names, and see if anyone in the division actually has what it takes to push Tom. Or is he just going to run laps around the thing like it's a regional title, you know what I'm saying? So let's get into it. Let's start with Ciryl Gane. And look, man, I gotta be honest, I've never been fully solid on this guy. I respect his athleticism, I respect the striking finesse, I respect the footwork and the movement for a heavyweight, but the way he moves outside the cage, I don't like it, bro. It just rubs me the wrong way. Like, this is supposed to be a top level contender. You're in the top 5 of the baddest division in the UFC, and you're out here doing French action movies and casually ignoring the clear holes in your game. That's not locked in. That's not championship mindset. That's not I'm trying to beat Tom Aspinall behavior. And let's not even pretend that this is a nitpick. We're talking about 2 massive glaring red flags here, okay, in his game that cost him the biggest moments of his career. The Francis Ngannou fight, out wrestled by a guy who had 1 leg. Then Jon Jones took him down in like 15 seconds and choked him out. And after both of those, nothing, no visible camp changes, no wrestling having partners, no trips to Dagestan or AKA or even ATT, just vibes and Instagram videos. And it's not just about the skill gap either, it's the pattern. You look at some of these guys in the top 5 and it's like they're being cherry-picked stylistic matchups. Gane is the poster boy for this. You don't see him calling out Curtis Blades or Jailton Almeida. Instead, he's taking fights with Taito Ivasa, Spivak, who is a grappler but is a slowpoke, and not even a top 5 fighter, and even Volkov. All strikers, or at least guys who aren't shooting takedowns, okay? Because Spivak doesn't shoot takedowns, he gets takedowns from the clinch. And let's talk about the Volkov fight real quick. I'll die on this hill. Gane got gifted. That wasn't some masterclass, it was a point fighting in slow motion. Volkov was in there landing the shots, making it competitive, and somehow Volkov ended up losing? Nah, that was a robbery. Volkov got done dirty, let's be real. And Gane just smiled his way into another main event with a fake humble vibe. And that's what makes him low-key the biggest heel in this division. The dude has Dana White privileges, no doubt about it. He doesn't need to win big, he just needs to show up and play the part. Alright, I'm done ranting. So with all that being said, let's actually talk about the matchup between the two. And I'll be real with you, Tom Aspinall is just a nightmare matchup for Ciryl Gane. On paper, it looks like a fun striker versus striker chess match, right? 2 fast heavyweights, clean, technique, good footwork, all that. But in reality, this fight is a trap for Gane from the jump. Tom isn't just fast. He's violent. He doesn't fight like a point striker. He doesn't look out to outstyle you for 5 rounds. He closes the distance with purpose, and once he gets inside that mid-range pocket, he throws the heater. Combinations, elbows, knees, level changes into takedowns, and that's a big one, the wrestling, because unlike Gane, Tom Aspinall actually trains his grappling like a pro. And you can see it when you watch his fight with Alexander Volkov. He didn't just take Volkov down. He passed his guard, stayed composed on top, and submitted him with a straight armbar like it was a routine. That's not something you see heavyweights do often, especially a guy as experienced and as tough as Volkov. That tells you that this isn't some panic jiu-jitsu. It's legit drills and dangerous. And once Tom gets on top, he doesn't play games. He throws sharp elbows, controls positions, and actively hunts for finishes. Even though we haven't seen him tested in a long scramble, heavy war yet, the tools are clearly there. And that's more than we can say for Gane, who still hasn't addressed that part of his game at all. Now picture that against Gane, who's literally got caught in a basic guillotine by John Jones after a lazy takedown defense sprawl. You really think Aspinall is not going to exploit that? The moment Gane tries to do his little sidestep, karate kid float, and lean back, boom, level change, body lock, takedown. Even on the feet, I favor Tom, not just because of the speed, but because of the intent. Gane throws jabs and teeps like he's waiting for you to make a mistake. Aspinall, he forces mistakes. He walks you into range, baits reactions, then fires back with real venom. That right hand is clean, and the moment he sees you freeze, he finishes. Okay, so with all that being said, let's move on to the next guy on the list, Alexander Volkov. Now, Volkov actually has been on a pretty decent little streak lately. Dude's looking sharp, more dialed in, and I gotta say, he's finally starting to let his hands go with more confidence. But I still haven't forgotten the fact that he got robbed against Ciryl Gane, man. Like, that fight was way more closer than people make it out to be. Gane was just point fighting the whole time while Volkov was actually landing the better shots, pushing forward, being aggressive. But whatever, we're not here to rehash that robbery. We're here to talk about what would happen if Volkov runs it back with Tom Aspinall, okay? Now, let's be real about it. We've already seen this fight once, and Tom made it look extremely easy. He didn't just beat Volkov, he ran through him like it was a sparring day, to be honest. Took him down, passed his guard, and submitted him like it was a lightweight grappling drill. It was clean, it was fast, and it was clinical. And honestly, if they ran it back right now, I don't think it would go much different. Tom's still the faster fighter, still has the better timing, and he's still the more explosive athlete. Volkov might have leveled up a bit on the feet, but that grappling gap is still huge. Unless Volkov has secretly been grinding wrestling with the Dagestanians in a bunker somewhere, I don't see how he's magically patching that part of his game. His length, his striking are solid, yeah, but he's not dangerous enough to stop Tom from closing the distance. And once Tom gets in, you already know what time it is. He's either dragging you down, beating you up, or locking something up. The game plan wouldn't change much because it doesn't need to. Tom would just download the data and delete the file again. The only way Volkov has a real shot is if he somehow stings Tom early with a big shot, or if Tom makes a huge mistake. But outside of that, I see Tom doing whatever he does, staying calm, finding the moment, and finishing. Probably even faster this time than the first time. Alright, next up we got Sergei Pavlovich, and I'm just gonna say it straight. I think Tom would run through Sergei faster the second time around. Like, the aura around Sergei, it's gone, man. That whole Russian Nagano energy people were giving him for a while, that hype has fizzled out. Now, don't get me wrong, he's still dangerous, he still hits like a truck, but you can't ignore what we've been seeing lately. He's looking like a former shell of himself. The moment he fought someone who didn't crumble instantly, he started looking human. And Tom's not just durable, he's calculated, quick, and precise. That's a horrible recipe for a guy like Sergei, who relies so much on overwhelming you early. I mean, we already saw what Tom did to him the first time. Walked him down, stayed calm, picked the shots, and finished the job in what? In less than 2 minutes? That's not a fluke, that's a skill gap. Sergei doesn't have the defensive tools to deal with someone as fast and well-rounded as Tom. If they ran the fight back tomorrow, I expect the same result, maybe even quicker. Tom just has too many ways to win, and Sergei, for all his power, has one gear: pressure and bombs. And if those don't land, he's toast. Now, when it comes to Curtis Blades, man, Curtis is a weird one. Like, he's got all the tools on paper, strong wrestling, decent striking experience, but he's kind of a roll of dice, you know. One day he's shutting down Jailton Almeida's takedown game like a boss and TKOing him, and the next, he's getting absolutely slept by Derek Lewis. And again, Tom, we've already seen what happened. The second fight made it loud and clear. Tom's just on another level right now. The timing, the confidence, the speed. He had Curtis flinching, second guessing, and flatlined him with a clean shot. I don't see that changing. I mean, how many times have we seen Blades get rocked or knocked out now? Tom doesn't even need to grapple with this one. He can just keep it standing, stay sharp, and just pick Curtis apart until he folds. And even if it doesn't go to the mat, I still favor Tom in those scrambles because he's just more fluent, more dangerous, and more locked in. Curtis is good, but Tom is different. He's not just trying to win, he's trying to dominate. Alright, let's wrap this up with probably the most intriguing name in the top 5, Jailton Almeida. Now, this is a guy I'd say that gives Tom Aspinall the toughest stylistic matchup at the heavyweight division right now. And it's not because he's the better overall fighter. I still think Tom is the most well-rounded heavyweight on the planet. But because Almeida brings a completely different kind of chaos to the cage, not the blitzing power, kind of chaos like Sergei or Lewis. No, this guy brings that slow cooking, suffocating, grappling pressure that makes people look helpless. And look, stylistically, this is a problem because Jailton isn't out here throwing bombs or trying to outpoint you. He's coming for your hips from the opening bell. His whole game is built around closing the distance, dragging you to the mat, and never letting you breathe again. And that's what really makes this fight interesting. We've never really seen Tom have to fight off his back, defending multiple takedown attempts, or work out from under someone with a high level control. Jailton could be the first guy to force him into those waters, But what makes Jailton so dangerous is the way he chains his grappling together. It's not one and done takedown attempts. It's pressure, reset, pressure again. If he misses a double leg, he switches to a body lock. If that fails, he'll trip you or drag you. He doesn't panic, he doesn't rush, and once he's on top, it's like quicksand. He traps your legs, pins your wrist, throws enough strikes to keep you guessing, then moves to a mount or take your back. He did it to guys like Rosenstrike, he did it to Shamil Dobrogagia, even Derek Lewis, who's usually able to just stand up, but he couldn't do anything with Almeida glued to him. Now, here's the thing. Tom is way more athletic, way more explosive than anyone Jailton has ever fought. So maybe that's the X factor. Maybe Tom's just stuffs the takedown, keep it on the feet, and lights him up. That's totally possible. In fact, if Tom does keep it standing, I don't think it's competitive. Tom would absolutely cook him on the feet. He's faster, sharper, and cleaner. But what if Jailton gets that one takedown? What if he times the entry, gets Tom down early, and holds a good position for a couple minutes? That's where things start getting dicey. Jailton doesn't just score points, he cooks you down there. And Tom hasn't been tested in that kind of situation. Yes, he's a freaky athlete, okay? But grappling with someone like Almeida, that's not just about skill. That's about patience, making zero mistakes, and knowing how to survive and reset when someone's trying to drown you slowly. But with all that being said, I personally would still favor Tom Aspinall to knock Jailton out. Straight up, I think Jailton's striking defense is shaky, he backs up in straight lines, and hasn't really dealt with someone who can explode into counters like Tom can. We saw Jailton slow down in the Blades fight, and Tom is faster, sharper, and way more punishing on the feet. I think he touches Jailton early, stuffs a few shots, and eventually finds the chin. And if he does that, man, the division is his, for reals, because let's be honest, the heavyweight division is blinking empty once you get past a handful of guys. If Tom gets through Jailton, who again is probably the only guy left that asks those tough stylistic questions, then we're looking at him running laps around the division like Pantoja at flyweight, just sitting at the top waiting for rematches or random contenders to catch up. It's Tom's world at that point, Anyways, that's gonna do it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments who you think would give Tom the toughest test, or if you think he's already cleared the field. As always, appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'll catch you guys on my next one.